Hello Milkman, hello Cheerful, hello Dan, hello Fist of Fun, hello Callie, hello Danny. Hello. Yeah, I'm in the scan studio today. Am I centered and?
Yeah, perfect.
Gonna do an intro, by the way. That's what we're doing. Hey guys, my name is Rage Darling, and today I'm going to be building a streaming and video editing PC. I have a gaming PC that I currently use for everything with a Ryzen 7 5800X, and it's definitely been doing its job. However, since I started streaming, I've always wanted a 2-PC setup for content creation and live streaming. One PC that I can ramp up the graphic settings of and enjoy the game to its full potential, whilst having a second PC to simultaneously handle the hard work of encoding the stream, and then later editing videos for my YouTube channel. So, Scan Computers and AMD Ryzen have kindly sponsored me to build this second PC, and have allowed me to use their studio to film it in. So, let's go through my parts. For my CPU, I have chosen the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X. I think this is a perfect match of performance and price for a streamer and content creator like myself, as it has 8 cores and 16 threads, making it a master of multi-program handling. I'm also a big fan of this CPU as I have it in my current gaming system, and I know it works really well for everything that I do. Switching from my 4th gen Intel CPU with 4 cores to the AMD Ryzen with 8 cores, it made a massive difference to my rendering times as well. To go alongside this, I have the brand new ASUS AMD ProArt B55 motherboard. This is a swanky new release from ASUS, specifically for creators in mind, as there is exclusive software utilities built in to aid content creation, and it focuses on having great connectivity with a dual-wired 2.5 gig LAN port and USB-C. For RAM, I've chosen 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance Pro RGB RAM, mainly because I know it's AMD Ryzen certified, so it's all going to run in sync with my chosen components. 32 gigs because this is a system I'm going to push to the max in terms of rendering, and my community recommended I went from 16 to 32 gigs. And RGB because I mean RGB. For storage, I've gone with the Samsung 980 Pro 1TB M.2 NVMe SSD. This is an insanely quick SSD, reading at speeds of 7,000 megabytes a second and writing up to 5,000 megabytes a second. For my PSU, I went with the Corsair RM-X50X, mainly because it's tried and trusted. I've got one in my current system and I need the power for my GPU, which is the Gigabyte Aorus NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080. I've gone for AIO for cooling in the system, and I've chosen the NZXT Kraken Z63 because of NZXT's brilliant cooling performance and the superior utility built in. I'm kidding, partly. It's mainly because of the LCD screen. I like that you can easily monitor your temps and also put any GIF that you want on the screen. The fans are solid black though, and I wanted to swap those out with RGB, so I've also got the NZXT RGB fans in 2 sizes, 2 to replace the AIO fans and 1 for the back of the case. I didn't bother getting any for the front, and you'll see why. So, for my case, after literal weeks of searching and researching and looking into what I wanted, I finally settled on the Fractal Design Define 7. It's a brilliant case, I love the look of it, I love the tinted window, and I wanted a front panel PC case because I plan on modding my logo onto the front of it, and you obviously can't do that with a mesh or other version. It's also one of the quietest gaming cases that you can get, which is really important to me, as I don't want my PC making a lot of noise while I'm streaming. To finish off the look, I've topped it off with some Corsair Red Premium braided cables. I really didn't need these, but I always see amazing PC builds on Instagram, and I wanted to give it a go for this PC. I think it deserves something special. Right, so now you know what I'm building with, I guess I should probably start. I'm gonna begin by unboxing my components, get my case ready, and then build on top of my motherboard like a giant Lego set. Just as a disclaimer, I've literally never built a PC before on my own, ever, and I'm currently live streaming this over on my Twitch channel, so I get double the pressure. It'll be fun! So what I'm going to do to get this PC case ready is I'm going to take off of this pre-installed fan already and replace it with the NZXT RGB fan. And of course, I couldn't build inside the Scan Studio without 3XS kitting me out with all the tools that I need. Only the very best, a full Stanley kit, kitted with everything that I will need to build this PC. We have pliers, a padlock, an X-Acto knife, a standard Phillips screwdriver, and a tiny Phillips screwdriver. It's not giving me an anti-static wristband though. Am I just too weak? This case even has like tiny little clips on the actual case so that you can thread the cable through. That's so cool. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start plugging cables inside my PSU. So this is the power supply unit. It's literally gonna sit in this gap at the back of the PC here. But before I do that, I mainly wanna just plug these cables in so that it's all routed and it fits. But also for peace of mind, because I am using Corsair braided cables and they're custom, I've never used them before, and just for peace of mind, I kind of want to familiarize myself with them to make sure I know what I'm doing. No way. Ah, ta-da! I don't know which way it goes. I think it goes this way. Chat, which way does the PSU go? This is my CPU cable. So that's the 8-pin. Hello, what are you? Don't know what that is. So I've just put all of the cables onto the PSU with a little help from my stream, just trying to figure out which ones I needed and which ones I didn't. Now I'm going to put the PSU inside the case. I'm going to keep the cables just kind of like outside the case because I don't need to bother about them just yet. Then I'm going to screw the PSU inside so it is nice and solid, and then I'm done with the case and I'm going to start working on the motherboard. Okay, now for my favorite part. This is basically adult Lego. So I have my motherboard resting on top of my motherboard box. It makes a good solid platform to build on. I'm gonna install my Ryzen 7 5800X CPU. This part I'm kind of dreading a little bit because of the whole slotting in the right place and then bringing the handle down. I'm sure it'll go fine. And then I have my 32 gigs of DDR4 Corsair Vengeance RAM. I'm going to slot those into the right slots. And finally, I have the Samsung 980 Pro NVMe SSD. I can see it's already got a heatsink, so it's going to be a matter of taking off the heatsink, putting this on, and then slotting it back on, and I'll be done. The gorgeous AMD Ryzen 7 5800X CPU. The absolute beast of a chipset for multi-program handling. Right, so I have the arrow on this side. I can see the arrow here. Before I do that, I'm gonna lift up the little handle. So it's ready. And I'm just gonna slot it in. Wait for it to drop. It definitely dropped. Making sure. Okay. Please don't break. I hate this part. Right, go. Yay! Okay, next up I'm gonna install the RAM because it's pretty easy. So I have two 16 sticks of Corsair Vengeance RAM. This is running at 3600 megahertz, which aligns with my AMD Ryzen 7 CPU. I love the Corsair Vengeance RAM. I think they look absolutely amazing. So I'm so glad that I get to put 2 in this build, not just 2, that I like the normal 16 gig. I'm putting 32 gigs inside. I've never had 32 gigs inside of the system before, so I'm very happy about that. Like that, good sign. Next up, the Samsung 980 Pro NVMe SSD. So that's the AM4 bracket, and then the AM4 Ryzen screws. That's all I need. Now I definitely do take this off, don't I? They go in there. Okay, the motherboard is near enough ready. Now it should be installed into the case, but before I do that, I'm going to move that to the side and I'm going to install the fans on my AIO cooler radiator. So as standard, they include the standard black NZXT fans to install onto the radiator, but I'm not going with that. I'm going to RGB this up. So I have got 2 RGB fans from NZXT. This matches the exact same size as the fans that will be installed on the radiator as standard. So all I'm doing is just turning on the RGB. So my next step is to carefully pick up and slot in the motherboard into the PC case. It's already got its standoffs installed, so literally it's just a case of screwing it in. I'm going to start on the top left, do the bottom right, and just work opposites just to make sure it's in properly. When I've done that, I'm going to thread the cables through the PC case just so that I have everything routed to where I need it to be. And then I'm going to have a look at whether or not I can top mount the AIO cooler, because ideally I want it to be on the top, but my Twitch chat is saying that that might not be the case. So I'm going to have a little fiddle around, see if I can top mount the AIO. If I can't, no worries, I'm going to put it on the front panel here. Nice and easy. Now let's thread the cables through. So it turns out I didn't have enough clearance on the top of this case to top mount the AIO cooler. Turns out Twitch chat were correct. Good job, you guys. And on the front of the PC case, I have mounted the AIO cooler instead. The top fans are the NZXT RGB fans, and of course I've got the littler one on the back, which is also RGB. All that's left to do now is to install the AIO pump onto the CPU and then install my GPU. So let's do it. got done installing the AIO cooler and the GPU. I've got a couple more bits to do on the motherboard, plugging in a few cables. Then I'm going to check whether or not it posts, take it away for some cable management, which is the most tedious part, so I won't make you sit through that, and I'll see you guys in a second. So, my cooler and my GPU is now installed. However, whilst I was doing the cable management, I had a little bit of a change of heart. After listening to the stream chat and putting my pipes down on my radiator, I decided that I didn't really like how tight the radiator pipes were across the trunk of the GPU that I have. So I spoke to the 3XS team and the NZX team just to get a little bit of advice, and they said that having the radiator pipes up wouldn't be an issue. The most important thing is making sure that my CPU pump isn't higher than the top of my radiator, because this is what could cause the issue over a long period of time. While I finish putting the PC case back together, let's recap exactly what I've got inside the system. For my CPU, I have the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X, the perfect mix of performance and price for a streamer and content creator. It's rocking 8 cores and 16 threads, which makes it a perfect tool for multi-program management, like running OBS Studio and, in my case, World of Warcraft. I've also got the NVIDIA Aorus RTX 3080 GPU, the Asus AMD ProArt B55 Creator motherboard, 32GB of Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro RAM running at 3600 MHz, and a Samsung 980 Pro 1TB M.2 NVMe SSD. Now that it's built, it's time to see if it posts. I know what you're thinking. Rage, you cable managed before you posted? Look, I'm an expert, okay? As you've just seen, I'm an expert builder, and I know that this is gonna post. I've definitely never had any issues with posting a system before. Right, let's get this set up to a desktop setup and see if it posts. Right, let's give this a try and turn on the power button. All right, we have the RGB on the RAM, that's a good sign. We've got the LCD screen on the cooler, that's on. We've got the motherboard lights, they're cycling through, that's good news. We've got Asus on the monitor, that's great. Now we just need to go into the BIOS and check over everything. Everything looks great. We've got the one fan profile on right now because it's plugged into the NZXT fan controller. We've got our RAM, that's all seated properly. And yeah, it's looking really good. We did it, it posted, yay! I had absolutely zero doubt. Now I need to install Windows and NZXT Cam, and I'll also install the ProArt Creator motherboard software so that I can get the most out of my motherboard. I think I'm also going to install Premiere Pro as well, just to show you guys how fast this system can do a render. But first, my favorite bit, let's finally peel off the plastic covers. Shiny. Look at that system. Oh, it looks so cute. So I've installed all of the software that I need in order to control the RGB in my system. The majority of it is NZXT, so I've installed NZXT Cam in order to do this. So at the moment I have everything on red because it's my signature color, but also the display on the CPU pump, that's displaying the CPU temperature, but I can also change it to have the GPU temperature, the CPU load, the GPU load, and my favorite, my own custom GIF. It's really easy to do that, so here's a GIF that I made earlier. You just upload it, drag it so it's cropped properly, and there we have it. Look how cool that looks. Because I've got Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro RAM, I do need to use iQOO in order to control the RGB, but iQOO is really simple to install and use, so I'm obviously going to have it as red to match the rest of my system. If you guys want to know more about NZXT Cam or iQOO, we've got a couple of YouTube videos on our channel to learn more about it in detail. Now, let's test out my AMD Ryzen 7 5800X CPU for rendering. I'm going to open a project file on Premiere Pro with a mix of 4K footage, graphics, and other assets on it. I'm going to export it, and we're going to see how long it takes. There we go, it's now fully rendered and it only took 24 seconds. How quick is that? That was really, really quick. If I compared it to my previous 4-core Intel CPU setup, this feels 10 times as fast. The fact that I can render a project like this in under a minute is going to be absolutely amazing for my YouTube content. I literally cannot wait to get this home and set up so I can start using it for dual streaming and content creation. Thanks again to AMD Ryzen and of course Scan Computers for sponsoring this video and supplying the parts that I picked out. And a big thank you to my followers who stuck around with me during the live stream. There was a little bit of a hairy moment here and then, but throughout the confusion, we managed to have a lot of fun and build a really cool PC. And I'm really proud of the system. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more YouTube videos just like this. Follow me on socials at RageDarling and Scan on ScanPro Gaming, and check me out on Twitch to see this PC in action, twitch.tv/RageDarling. Feel free to ask me any questions about it there and then as well. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!